I know that like the younger generation of DPs that are coming up that are, even younger than me. Um, I mean, myself included, my biggest thing is Instagram. It's such a huge, like, we think of it as like our portfolio, our
Oh yeah.
marketing piece. Like, that is like how we present ourselves. Like, how different is today's world of like growing as a DP compared to maybe when you started? I'm curious as to like what you've noticed change and how you maybe have adapted a little bit to it
Yeah.
potentially.
I think that, well, I mean, I'm not, I mean, I'm old, but I'm not old and like enough. Like
Oh, you're not
it's
old,
like,
man. You're
yeah,
not
yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah. I definitely came up in the Instagram era for sure as well. I, uh, in fact, like, working with, there were like a couple other DPs that I was ACing for like a little over a decade ago that like I was barely active on Instagram, and then they like kind of like connected with me after the job, and I saw them posting like stills and all that stuff, and it was like almost like a light bulb went off where I was like, oh duh, like I should be doing this. This is so I definitely, have used. I mean, it's a great place to showcase your portfolio. It's like, replaced business cards, I think, in a much
Mm.
more useful way. Um, but it was funny because, prior to then, um, you know, like the advice, like I had been getting advice from, DPs who had already been doing this for like a decade or longer prior to me. And like, they were in the world where like they would burn their show reels to a DVD and then walk around town to
Oh
all the
man.
production companies and drop them off. And, there was like, like as brutal as that sounds, like I think once again, like there's a part of me that wishes that it was still that way because it kind of plays into
Mm.
like you said, like like let's hang out,
Right.
like
Get to
yeah,
know
yeah, you
me.
get to know me, you're gonna like me, here's my work, and
Yeah.
meanwhile let's shoot the shit and like see if we hit it off or something. But yeah, like it's um you know in my eyes it's a blessing and a curse. Like it's
Mm.
made things more accessible, but it's also made things like more impersonal, if that makes sense,
Mm. Mm.
um I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying 100% because I think most of the time when people post things on Instagram or social media, I think the impersonal part, what you're thinking, like what you're saying is maybe because everyone just posts the best version of
Y-
themselves, like their their highest quality work. And obviously I think there's positives to that and like in terms of like a business strategy.
Sure.
But I do see what you're saying there. And I'm curious as to if Instagram for you has a similar effect of like, I don't know if you are like as addicted to Instagram as like, some of the younger people are. Like, I see people working and I'm like, oh man, I wish I was working. Like, I can't believe this person got this job. That type of mentality. Do you have that type of like relationship with Instagram?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be hard to find people who
Don't,
don't
right?
in this day and
Yeah.
age. Yeah. Yeah. Like I wish that I spend a lot of time like wishing that it didn't have to be a part of my life.
Mm,
Especially now, like being a dad and having kids. And like catch myself like mindlessly scrolling sometimes, and then I like feel like such an idiot. And I'm just like, oh man, I hope I'm not like leaving a mark, or some type of
mm,
inflicting psychological damage. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would think that yeah, I try to like to monitor my use. I've been
mm.
like you know I'll try to only get on there when like I need to post something, or like yeah, because like I've just spent too much time, like you said, watching other people work and wondering what I did wrong or something.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, but Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to kind of tag along to that a little bit because something that I noticed as like a common theme with some DPs and people that I'm close with is like how you deal with not working, how you deal with times where it's really slow. Um, do you find that you have other hobbies? I mean, you have a family, so I'm sure that takes up a lot of your time. Like, how do you cope and how do you manage days, weeks, or even months sometimes of not really being hired?
Um, I well, I guess I mean I definitely am like a hobby junkie.
Oh, that's
eh,
so cool. I
eh,
wish I don't have a hobby. Everyone asks me what my hobby is. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
oh
think I
man,
have one. I think working out, to be honest, for me is my hobby, but
that's a
I don't
great
have like a
hobby.
true, yeah, I don't have like a true, like some people paint or some, I just don't have one yet. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm always it's funny, I'm always torn whether, like, hobbies are good for you or whether they're distractions. Uh,
Mm.
you know? Um,
Yeah.
be
Maybe
be
too many hobbies is a
yeah,
distraction.
yeah, maybe, or if, like, you get really into one hobby, but, like, to answer your question, yeah, I am, like, I would actually say that, like, my first kind of, like, artistic or creative passion, is music. I've grown up
I see behind you.
yeah, I've grown up a musician, I you know, it's it's definitely I, like, grew up playing in punk bands and, always, like I don't know, music was always a really big part of my life, and then it's funny when I actually, like, like, when I decided that I wanted to make the transition from, like, t ACing and PAing and, like, working crew to, like, shooting full time, I actually quit the band that I had been playing in for 8 years at that point,
Wow.
and kinda stopped playing music and just to solely focus on my career because, yeah, it was like I was getting busier and it was there were like, we would book a show and then all of a sudden like a job would come in and then I couldn't play the show and I was like, kind of like letting everybody in the band down
Hmm.
and then I would find myself at band practice and being like, like, like this is like I'm this is a misuse of my time right now. I need to like,
Hmm.
focus on my career and
Yeah.
doing this
Your
full time.
priorities changed, it
Y-
seemed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So then that like kind of like spawned a period of like growth, like in a way like giving that up and leaving that behind. I don't know if it's directly related, but it did work. Like I was
Mm.
able to make that transition that year, and it began like a couple years of like you know of a period of like extreme growth in my career as a cinematographer. And then it's funny, and then the pandemic happened, and
Mm.
I was sitting around in alone in my room for a couple months, and the music thing kind of like came back with a vengeance. Just at like I think as a
Mm.
way of just keeping myself like sane through that period of time. But then, like as soon as things started opening back up, I joined a band for the first time in 8 years. At that, another 8 years at that point,
Wow.
and have been super active. And now, yeah, that's like a constant hobby that I have going along